A discovery in the remote Siberian region of Gornaya Shoria has sparked one of the most heated debates in archaeology and alternative history. What explorers reported finding, there was no ordinary mountain or cluster of rocks, but what looked like a gigantic wall, so massive that it was said to be 80 times taller than the Great Wall of China, with granite blocks that weighed an estimated 3,000 tons or more, carefully stacked together in a way that appeared impossible for ancient or even modern humans to achieve. At over 3,900 feet high, this structure did not look like a random pile of rocks. Instead, the enormous right-angled blocks gave the appearance of being shaped, cut, and placed deliberately, creating the impression of a man-made wall that had stood the test of time. To make matters more mysterious, researchers claimed that in one section there was a rectangular gap cut into the stone, almost like a doorway large enough for a 10-foot-tall being to casually walk through. For many who saw the photographs, the site raised questions that conventional science has struggled to answer. Who could have built this wall? How could blocks weighing thousands of tons have been lifted and stacked hundreds of feet in the air? And why does the site remain largely unexplored by mainstream archaeologists? For decades, there had been whispers of a city of giants, hidden deep within Siberia. These stories were strengthened in 1908 when the Tunguska explosion flattened 80 million trees without leaving a crater, suggesting a cataclysmic event beyond ordinary explanation. Around the same time, a discovery inside a Siberian cave added fuel to the mystery. A small toe bone, which ultimately revealed the existence of a previously unknown humanoid species that lived more than 200,000 years ago, the Denisovans. This shook the scientific community, as it proved that other advanced hominins once lived in the region without our knowledge. The Denisovan discovery gave new weight to local myths of giants, because if one unknown humanoid could be unearthed, perhaps others, even larger ones, had walked the earth and left traces behind. With stories of giants being passed down through Siberian folklore and now backed by the evidence of a real, undiscovered species, some researchers felt compelled to investigate. In 2013, researcher Georgy Sidorov organized an expedition of 19 people to study reports of mysterious structures in the Shoria region. What they found astonished them. The megaliths they documented were colossal, blocks 20 meters long and 6 meters tall stacked into formations resembling walls. Unlike the irregular faces of natural rock outcrops, many of these blocks had straight edges, sharp corners, and flat surfaces that made them look undeniably artificial. The team also reported unusual phenomena when they approached the stones. Compasses behaved erratically, needles turning away from the blocks as if some magnetic force was present within the stone itself. On top of that, the surfaces of some rocks bore scorch marks and appeared partially melted, which raised the question of whether some kind of advanced energy or catastrophic event had affected them long ago. To those present, the evidence pointed strongly toward the site being a man-made structure, though one on a scale completely beyond anything known from ancient human history. The puzzle deepened when comparisons were made to other megalithic sites. The great blocks at Baalbek in Lebanon, considered some of the heaviest ever quarried by humans, weigh roughly 1,000 tons. Even today, engineers marvel at how ancient builders could have transported and lifted them into place. Yet the blocks at Gornaya Shoria appeared to be 3 times heavier than Baalbek's largest stones. To move such massive granite blocks would require technology far more advanced than anything known from antiquity. Even modern cranes would struggle. This has led some to suggest that perhaps our ancestors were far larger and stronger than we realize, or that they possessed advanced machinery that has since been lost to history. However, mainstream archaeologists have been reluctant to publish on the subject, with many dismissing the formations as natural without conducting field work. Some researchers argue that this dismissal is motivated less by evidence and more by fear of ridicule or funding cuts, since claims about giants or advanced, lost civilizations tend to draw skepticism. When photographs from Sidorov's expedition finally surfaced, they spread quickly online, particularly after being promoted by John Jensen, who referred to the site as supermegaliths. His article and the striking images introduced the English-speaking world to the mystery of Gornja Shoria, sparking debates on forums and alternative history blogs. The photos showed researchers dwarfed by enormous blocks, appearing to confirm that the structure was real. Jensen estimated the weights of the blocks to be thousands of tons each, comparing them directly to the Great Pyramid of Giza, whose largest stones weigh a mere 80 tons. With such comparisons, the Siberian megaliths seemed beyond the capabilities of ancient humans, even more mysterious than Egypt's pyramids. Despite the growing interest, skeptics pointed out that the early internet was rife with hoaxes and photoshopped images, such as the notorious giant skeleton pictures. Many assumed that the Gornja Shoria photographs were fake too, but while the giant skeletons were debunked, the Shoria megaliths proved harder to dismiss, since they could be located on satellite imagery and mapped in person. This confirmed that the massive rock formations do indeed exist. Yet puzzlingly, in the decades since their discovery, there have been no large-scale archaeological excavations at the site, and the academic consensus has largely labeled the formations natural, without direct investigation. This has fueled speculation of a cover-up, or at least an unwillingness to engage with evidence that challenges the conventional timeline of human development. Theories about the origins of the Shoria megaliths vary widely. Locals embrace the idea that they are remnants of an ancient race of giants known as the Tatarans, said in folklore to have lived alongside humans. While no scientific evidence of giants has ever been confirmed, the discovery of the Denisovans shows that our understanding of human history is far from complete. Some have even speculated that Denisovans and the mythic Tatarans might be one and the same, their real heights exaggerated over generations of storytelling. Denisovans were indeed larger than other early humans, averaging nearly 8 feet tall, impressive enough to inspire myths of true giants. Others, however, see the megaliths as evidence of an advanced ancient civilization with technology capable of moving stones far heavier than those of Egypt or Baalbek, only to be wiped out by a cataclysm such as the Great Flood theorized by Graham Hancock and others. In this view, civilizations have risen and fallen many times over the last 300,000 years, with each reset erasing advanced technologies and leaving behind only enigmatic monuments like the pyramids and the Shoria Wall. Of course, the more imaginative theories don't stop there. Some attribute the megaliths to extraterrestrials, suggesting that aliens constructed the massive wall for reasons unknown. This theory, however, lacks any evidence beyond speculation, and even local myths do not describe alien builders. Scientists, for their part, propose a simpler explanation, that the formations are natural, the result of tectonic activity and geological processes over millions of years. Granite mountains can fracture into block-like shapes, and erosion can produce surprisingly geometric forms. Photographs of other rock formations around the world show that sharp angles and stacked shapes can indeed occur in nature without human involvement. In this interpretation, the Gornja Shoria wall is not a wall at all, but a mountain with strikingly regular fractures.